In this era of high unemployment and where the need to diversify the economy has been pushed to the forefront, a significant portion of our public coffers and other resources have been dedicated to the refining, financing and support of local entrepreneurs. The word entrepreneur is a loan word from French, meaning literally one who undertakes. This buzzword refers to an individual who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on financial risk to do so. And a risky business it is. According to a study by the US Small Business Association, only 2/3 of all small business startups survive the first 2 years, and less than half make it to 4 years. Locally, of the 4,068 businesses funded by CEDA, 743 are reported to have failed to perform and as a result were foreclosed. In light of these odds, a significant body of work exists that attempts to address the question, what makes for a successful entrepreneur? Academics have looked into shared psychological traits, values, environment, and other factors in the hopes of determining the makeup of an individual that can create something from nothing and weather a variety of storms. The Bill Gates and Richard Bransons deified by modern society. UK business guru and speaker Renee Carriol, also First Issues mentor, recently convened some of these intriguing individuals to a seminar in London. And tonight we share with you a story that truly stood out from this event. Tonight we hear from an individual who overcame sexism, personal hardship, a potentially fatal illness, the economic recession, as well as financial lack, and came out on the other side as a fully fledged and successful entrepreneur. Sally Preston, the founder of the food company Babylicious, relates her story for us, beginning with herself and her unambitious beginnings.
I was born in Sheffield. I decided to do science A-levels, spectacularly failed them because my father was a doctor, so I thought I'd be a doctor. Realised very quickly that A-level physics and I were an incompatible combination. So I realised I had to do something else. I went off and did a diploma because the choice was retake your A-levels, do an HND in Grimsby, no disrespect to Grimsby, or come to London and do an HND. I came to London, did an HND in food technology, and then suddenly worked out actually I could apply myself, got myself a degree, went to Marks and Spencer's and worked there for 11 years.
Why Marks and Spencer?
Because it was the best job as an industrial placement student. I did 2 years of my degree. I did a year in industry, 6 months at Tate & Lyle in a sugar refinery in a quality control laboratory, and tell me that was really boring. And then I was offered a job at M&S, and I loved it. It was in Baker Street, it was in the 80s, it's when M&S was pioneering. And I think that's quite important from when you look at what I went to do, is I was in an environment in M&S which was can-do. And I worked in Marks and Spencer's ready meals area where they were literally inventing what is now commonplace, global. And it was, as a junior person, it was normal to push the edges, challenge the boundaries and do something new. But I left in '99, having had 2 children, and hit that glass ceiling that does exist.
Just hold there a moment. Hold there. Stuart says it doesn't, but we'll come back to that in a moment.
Well, Stuart wasn't sitting there in ice shoes, was he?
When you were there, did you ever think about running your own business, your own venture? No,
never.
Not once?
Not at that early stage, no, because it was all too comfortable. It was all wrapped up in corporate cotton wool, really. There was the 16.9% non-contributory pension. There was the 20% of everything I bought in Marks and Spencer's. There was automatically the 5 weeks a year holiday. Year on year on year, I got 10, 15% pay increases. The handcuffs tightened. So no, initially no. It was perfect. It was good.
What
initially.
Changed? What changed?
Children, having a family. It put it into perspective, all the politics, all the nonsense, all the backfighting, the endless meetings in the urinals, which, you know, quite frankly, I wasn't there, and I found out what had happened in the urinal. Why would I want to play in that game? And also, I decided, having had 2 children, I wanted something better for me personally, and I think personally the politics of large corporates stifle it eventually, and so I decided that time to go, so I left in '99. And initially, my plan was to set up a consultancy to spend more time with my children, which didn't quite work, really.
How tough was it to resign?
Very tough. Very, very tough. I mean, you talk about golden handcuffs from large corporates. You know, when you sit there, everybody has a fantastic idea on a Saturday night over a bottle of wine or 7. But the thing is it really a great idea on Sunday morning with the hangover when you go, oh, I can't have a skiing holiday, oh, and I can't have my summer holiday, oh, and that new Mercedes I quite fancied, oh, can't. It's reality, and it's all a bit comfortable and fluffy. I'm talking about sort of, 10 odd years ago now. I recognise now as a different environment. But when you looked at it, was it that bad? But it was. It got to the point where I decided I could do more with my life and took the experiences and contacts and knowledge of Marks & Spencer, which was fantastic. I mean, you don't get better than that from a food perspective, and took what was a very, very solid base and said, I'm going to go and run a consultancy. I hadn't got a clue what I was doing. Honestly, it was Mickey Mouse meets consultancy, but I had a go and it seemed to go okay.
How long did you do that for?
I did that for 2 years. And I did that for 2 years, and I left in 99, and in the end of 99, my marriage broke down with my ex-husband, clearly now. Early in 2000, we were starting very acrimonious divorce proceedings when I was diagnosed with skin cancer, and I had to move out of the house and live in rented accommodation with 2 small children with absolutely no income at all, with skin cancer, with a divorce going on, and you just sort of survive, really. People are remarkably resilient. But because the comfort of corporate had gone, it put you in a different land where you went, I can do that. I can set up a business. So I did, and I had this idea about producing frozen baby food. So those who wonder if Babylicious is a porn site, it's not. It's a frozen baby food company. But, as my dad said from very early on, do you really want to be sally@babylicious.co.uk on a website? Of course I do. Yeah, Dad, what were you thinking, Father? But I recognised there was a gap in the market, which was a combination of my Marks & Spencer's ready meal training and a mother, and a sort of bugger it quite thing, what can I lose?
Sally, was it sort of analytical research you got there, or was it a spark? How did it come?
I did no research at all. In fact, that's a lie. I spoke to 3 mothers at the gates of a playground once and said, do you think this is a good idea? And they said, yes, that'll do for me. All these companies that spend vast amounts of money on market research, I really have to question, because it's always compromised and interpreted and moulded to give the information that they wanted at the outset. So, no, I intuitively knew it was a brilliant idea. 3 people told me it was. That's enough to take on Heinz, isn't it, globally? No?
Give me the elevator pitch. From that early days, if you can remember it, what was the elevator pitch? What was your idea? What was the jerk?
My idea was very simple. It was to fill the gap between jars and cans for babies which taste like crap but are nutritionally good and they are food, but they taste disgusting, or spending hours and hours at home with a blender pureeing food for your babies. Why did nobody do that bit in the middle, which is produce the same quality as if I'd made it at home, but the same convenience as if I bought it in a jar? Why didn't they do that? I did it.
Tell me about how it started off.
Okay, so 2001, I decided that with the support of my partner, who is here, I think another reoccurring theme that I've discovered is there's always a rock behind every entrepreneur. There's always that person going, I believe in you, I can do it. There have been wavering times, I'm sure, but generally there's someone who goes, go and do it. So I had this idea. I wrote a business plan, which was a shocker, actually. It was truly shocking. I ought to dig it out one day and sort of laugh.
Had you ever written one before?
Never, never. I had never done a cash flow forecast. I didn't even know what P&L stood for, quite frankly. No idea at all. But I just decided that global domination was what I should do for my dining room. So off you go. So I literally wrote a business plan, which was poor, quite frankly, went to every single high street and asked for £50,000 because I thought that was enough to launch a global brand. That seemed like a lot of money to me. Every high street bank, bar none, said, it's a fantastic idea, but it's too obvious because it's so obvious that somebody else should have done it. Therefore, because they haven't done it, it must be inherently risky. Therefore, we won't lend you any money.
Fabulous advice.
Fabulous. Bring on the banks and supporting the entrepreneurs. That's what I say. So every single bank went too obvious. Consumers will definitely want it, but we can't support it. So actually, eventually, after sort of hassle...
How did that make you feel?
That they were wrong, and I was going to prove they were wrong.
So it gave you more drive?
Oh, they were just idiots. They were formulaic people behind spreadsheets going, computer says no. And it was just rubbish. And you just knew that this spotty oik sitting there pressing his buttons hadn't got a clue what an entrepreneur... I probably couldn't spell it, quite frankly, bless him. So, you know, all of the high street banks, and I tar them all with the same brush, had absolutely no idea what this was all about.
We have a few bankers in the audience.
I
Please,
don't mind.
We'll come to them in a moment.
I really don't mind. I have to say, I think you've got slightly better in recent years. I use the word slightly in capitals. But, no, you know, and so basically, to be told that your idea is too obvious, that the consumers would undoubtedly want it, but because no one's already done it, it's an inherently risky. So they did actually eventually sort of offer me some money, my 50,000, but I had to secure it against my home, and it had hideous interest rates on, and the penalties of not paying it back within 2 years was so stifling. You really just could not get going. So having just bought my home from my ex-husband at a large amount of money and increased my mortgage by £105,000 on top of the previous, I then just remortgaged my house again for another 50,000 and thought, well, fine, I'll just do it. And so I did from my dining room, and I remortgaged my home. That's how I set off.
So at this stage, do you have any evidence, tangible evidence, that this could work, was working?
No.
This was still a vision?
Totally.
Still an aspiration?
Yeah.
OK, so tell me about the first year.
The first year, that was exciting. Oh, it's so exciting. You know, you basically say, OK, I'm going to create some recipes, and off I tootled and made some recipes. I then thought, oh, better get some a branding agency. We don't know about branding. Oh, let's find some people in the yellow pages. Went and met these people, and all designery, arty stuff. Great stuff. I went, oh, I like that, and I don't like that. Felt, you know, it's very powerful. It's very invigorating. It's very liberating. No committees. No 59 million other people, hurdles to jump through. If I like that colour of yellow, it's that colour of yellow. Full stop, let's move on. The decision-making process was so fast because you didn't have to involve and include. There was a thing in Marks and Spencer's we had where one of the directors of the food group's wives didn't like yellow, and we weren't allowed to use yellow packaging for 2 years in Marks and Spencer's. What's all that about? I had to do free-range quiche. How do you do that without being yellow? It was ridiculous. So I really enjoyed the first year. The first year was like being a kid in a sweet shop, planning and strategizing. It took no money, clearly, for myself. And in fact, I never took any money for myself until the middle of 2004. So I ran for 3 years with zero salary.
Did you have an advisor, mentor, coach?
No.
Just did it on your own?
Yeah. My advisors were my mates over bottles of wine, occasionally going, oh, I don't think you should do hot pot with a bit of herb in it. It was, you know, it was just... It was total maverick stuff.
After 3 years, where do you think you were?
Well, what was interesting is at the end of 2002, when we launched the brand in 2002, in May 2002, so the sort of previous 10 months were planning it, but we hit a great hurdle where we were just about to launch the product Babylicious into Waitrose, and Waitrose were very receptive, loved the idea. And I had a phone call from Waitrose buyer say, I'm a bit concerned that we've had somebody else come in with the same trademark name, Babylicious. And we basically had a trademarks hoaxer trying to steal the company identity before we'd even started, from very early on. And literally the way that trademarks work is you register a trademark, you do a sort of global check, is anybody using this name? Clearly it was made up. Our searches said that nobody's using this, and it gets registered in some dusty vault somewhere in the trademark office for 6 weeks and then pops up again. And somebody had registered for Babylicious 11 days before we had registered for exactly the same 2 classifications, and there are 72 to choose from, and chose to go to the same retailer that we were targeting. So as my lawyer, trademark lawyer, said to me, how brave do you feel? I'll tell you, you don't feel very brave when you've remortgaged your house, you're living off no income, you've walked away from corporate loveliness, and somebody hidden in the lurky shadows is trying to steal your identity. But in a way, undeterred, I thought, well, OK, I can't fight this because the law is against me. I will rebrand. So I literally, overnight, changed the name to Tastylicious, which in hindsight was rubbish, but you know, that's fine. And I moved everything, the website, the marketing, the stationery, the branding, the packaging, from Babylicious to Tastylicious, and we actually launched as Tastylicious. But it was always sub-optimised, because that doesn't say what it is. And I fought and I fought and I fought. And on Christmas Eve, I got a phone call from the trademark lawyer saying it had been filed in bad faith, and it had been filed deliberately and maliciously to derail the business. And I was entitled to compensation. And I said, fantastic. And the cost to me had been £34,000. Wow. And my compensation from the government was 500. So
But it wasn't just about money, though, was it?
No.
Did it mean you got your trademark then?
Yes, I did. And that was really more important. But of my 50,000 from remortgaging my house, 33.5 of it had been, not all of it misspent because it went back to Babylicious, but a proportion, I'd say about 15,000, was literally tipped down the bin as somebody had maliciously tried to take the name. And that's really before we'd even got started. You know, so, and then the year after, we had a lady who pretended she worked for the Advertising Standards Authority. She phoned up all of our customers. She said that the ASA were investigating me against claims from Marks and Spencer's, and it was all a hoax. And I spent £10,000 on litigation, stopping her from basically saying rubbish and lies against me. But the absolute rub on all of this, the really bad news on this is, if you have a person with integrity and guts, go out and prove to people that you are a victim of a hoax, and therefore they reinstate all the business, there is no claim in the court for compensation because there's no damage to your business. So we lost the £10,000 pursuing this woman to tell her to stop maligning the name. And that was the next year.
What learning do you take from these two incidents?
Keep going. Just keep going. You have to be like a weeble. I am a big weeble sitting here, and I wobble, but I don't fall down.
So fast forward me, where are you now?
Oh, I'm here. Where are we now? We have two brands. We have Babylicious and we have Kiddylicious. Kiddylicious is a follow-on brand which came from consumers saying, why don't you do something beyond 12 months? And I thought, OK, fine. Way before Jamie Oliver sorted his stuff out, so 2004-05, we launched Kiddylicious as a children's frozen meal. And we've just launched a snacking brand of Kiddylicious. And in fact, today I got the rate of sale stuff information from Tesco, which is so strong, they're having to roll it out across the entire state in 3 months' time. We haven't got the stock, it's a little bit of a problem, but that's fine. But we've got three brands, well, two brands. We've got Babylicious, which is frozen baby food, Kiddylicious, which is now diversifying into snacking. We supply Tesco, Asda, Morrison's, Ocado, Waitrose, Budgeons, Spinneys in Dubai, all those. Anyone who's not Sainsbury's, actually, but we will sort them out fairly soon.
How does it feel now looking back?
It's a journey. It's a journey. There have been days when you could quite literally just pack it all up and get a skip and go, I can't do this anymore because it's just so stressful. But there are days like today, actually. Today has just been a rocking day, I'll tell you. We've had a brilliant day from Tesco, a brilliant day from Asda, giving us feedback and news that we've been fighting for. And one of the challenges of our business is that the product that we have created doesn't have any brothers and sisters. It's true innovation. And although people say they want innovation, they don't really want it because it doesn't fit their systems and processes. And it's a bit difficult. And the way that we sell our product is by having freezers placed in the baby aisles. And there are no stores that have freezers in the baby aisles. So we've had to put the power in, and if we put the power into an Asda store, they charge us £1,500 to run the plug into that store. We pay for that. We pay for the freezer, we pay for the merchandise to be there, and we pay for the stock. But it still is worth us doing it. But you have to fight and fight and fight the procedures. But today, we've been trying to get a rollout. We've had a 5-year trial in Asda. 5-year trial in Asda. And today, we got the news that we finally cracked it's like some Rubik's Cube thing, and we've been trying to find the last little bit, and today we found out we'd done it. And that is really good, and that's why I've got wine there. I'm sorry, but hey.
So 5 years from now, what are you going to be doing?
On a beach, mate. I will be on my Babylicious yacht. I don't know. 5 years, I don't know. I have had times when I've thought, I'll never do this again. This is so stressful. You really don't ever stop. It's 24/7. You work all night. You work at the weekend. Even if you're out, your brain is churning. It becomes your life, and you really have to try very hard to pull back and remember you have a family, and remember you have children, remember you have friends that you're supposed to speak to. But they've all been phenomenally supportive, and they've helped, you know, they've helped. So in 5 years' time, what would I like to do? I would like to be in a position where I can take a slight step back from this business, and I probably will I never stop. I don't think it's in my nature. I would like to do other things. I quite like to do some mentoring. I'm doing a lot of stuff mentoring. I've been involved in the Small Business Council with the DTI people. I'm currently on George Osborne's New Enterprise Council, which I find fascinating. I just find them interesting, and I don't know anything about cash flows and P&Ls and all those things, but these little red things in brackets, are they important? I don't know. Tell me they are. But it's just, you just have to keep going. But it's exciting.
Fantastic. We've got a final question for you. The downturn, the recession. What has it done for you and the business?
Oh, I think it's very exciting, actually, because we're small and we're nimble and we're a group of very motivated individuals. We move quicker. Come back to that issue about choosing some packaging and do you want that yellow? If I want that yellow, that decision is now made. So I'll give you a really good example. This is absolutely true. We were going to launch our snacks into all of the retailers in January of this year, and we had this manufacturer in Poland who was making some apple crisps for us, and they were not fried, they were baked, and they were these worthy crisp things. And I was literally on my way to the BBC studios to do working lunch, and I got a phone call from Alcam, the printers, to say, we can't make this product for you anymore. We've been told that your agent have lost the license. And we literally had Tesco and Morrison's orders lined up, no manufacturer. This is the end of October, and it was supposed to go into depot on the 18th of January, which is not a lot of time. We scoured the world, making phone calls and emails to anybody globally who made fruit crisps. I didn't care what they were, quite frankly, at this point. Found a company, bizarrely, who had sent us these things by FedEx. We got a 1 kilo bag, not kidding you, a 1 kilo bag. We thought they're good. We'll send them to Tesco, Asda, Morrison's and Sainsbury's. We've got a tiny little box from Asda, a 99p Tupperware box, put 7 little crisps in each one, sent them, and my commercial guys going, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. Sent them to Tesco, sent them to the retailers, and they all said, we love it, we're listing it. 1 little packet. Now, nobody, if you're a large company, would have dared even do that, let alone the audacity. And we basically went from 1 packet at the end of November to listing in Morrison's the end of January. It went into Tesco in February. As I say, today's rate of sale, they now want to extend it across to all of their estate. We hadn't seen the factory, but I found somebody quickly go and check it. It didn't have rats and mice, and the roof was stuck on all the rest of it. And I went and flew over there last month to check it was great, and I ate scorpions and locusts and did a bush tucker trial to prove that I was worthy of their business.
As one does. Give her a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much.
Babylicious is building a strong reputation as a trusted brand in the area of infant and young children's food, and is now the biggest manufacturer of frozen baby food in Europe, with discussions taking place to introduce the brand to parents across the globe. We trust that we have facilitated the company and Sally's mission to continue to inspire women and other entrepreneurs to, as she puts it, give their ideas a go. From me, Nameto Sibina, the team behind First Issues, and our sponsors First National Bank, we wish you a good night and pleasant viewing.